So today we'll be talking about TVM, that is time value of money, and this concept basically tells us that the value of money changes over time. Right now, how? Right. So let's say we have 100 rupees today, right? And let's say after 1 year we have 100 rupees, right? So this concept basically tells us that the value of 100 rupees today is not equal to the 100 rupees that we'll have after 1 year. Now how do we say that? Why do we say that, right? So let's say you buy milk, right? You consume let's say 10 liters of milk, right? Now milk costs, let's say, 10 rupees per liter, and you buy 10 liter and you pay 100 rupees, right? Now what will happen after 1 year, right? So you'll still consume 10 liters, right? And let's say the price of milk increases to rupees 12. Now why? Because inflation, right? We have inflation. The prices of goods tend to uh, increase after a while, right? So now to buy the same quantity of milk that you consume, you'll have to pay rupees 120. So basically the we can say like the value of 100 rupees is not the same because the price of the milk rose, and now you need 120 rupees to consume whatever you were consuming earlier, right? It's as simple as that. Now let's take into some other things in perspective. Let's say you want to buy a car, right? Let's say today the car cost 10 lakh, right? And you did some research, and due to inflation again, you believe that the price of the car would increase by 10%, right? So after 1 year when you'll buy the car, it will cost 11 lakh, right? Now why what when do you think you should buy the car, today or after 1 year? Obviously today, because you're actually saving 1 lakh rupees, right? You're getting it for cheaper today than you will get after 1 year. But that's not how things work, right? You can actually grow your money. Now how? Now let's say that you have a friend and he comes up to you and he says that he has an investment opportunity, right? Now what he says that if you give me 10 lakh rupees today, right, after 1 year, what I'll do is I'll give you an interest rate of 20% and I'll give you back 12 lakh rupees. He'll invest it somewhere and he'll give you 12 lakh rupees, right? So now you have two choices. Either you can buy car for 10 lakh rupees, or you can give money to your friend and he'll invest it, and after 1 year you'll get 12 lakh rupees, right? Now in this situation, what do you think you should do? If you buy the car today, you're actually losing the opportunity, right, of earning 20% reward, right, and make your principal 12 lakh rupees. You're actually losing that opportunity, right? And if you don't buy a car today, right, after 1 year you'll get 12 lakh rupees and you can buy car for 11 lakh rupees and you'll still end up with 1 lakh rupees. So in this scenario, while the while due to inflation the value of car increase, but your principal that you had earlier, the 10 lakh rupees, it also increased its value because you invested it. So now buying car after 1 year would be a better opportunity, right? So this 20%, the if you would have bought the car today, you would have missed this opportunity, and this is called basically opportunity cost, or OC, right? So this is what TVM basically talks about, and TVM has a lot of formulas as well, right? So let's not start with some tough or big formulas. We'll start simple, right? And if you're starting simple, let's start with simple interest, right? And simple interest and compound interest, right? This is a very basic concept. We'll just take into consideration what actually happens in this concept, right? Now what happens in simple interest? Let's say for example the principal is 10 lakh in both the situation, and you'll get the same interest rate of 10%. Now in simple interest what happens is you get this 10% on the principal amount only, right? So every year you'll say you'll get 1 lakh rupees per year, right? Now what happens in compound interest? In the first year what will happen is you'll earn interest on this principal, right? So you'll get plus 1 lakh rupees, right? In simple interest you'll get 1 lakh rupees, in compound interest you'll get 1 lakh rupees. But in second year again, you'll in simple interest you'll be getting 1 lakh rupees, but in compound interest what will happen is now you'll get interest in this 1 lakh as well, right? So basically what will happen is you'll get 1 lakh, right, plus you'll get 10% interest on this interest as well. So you'll get interest on interest as well. So basically 10k, right? So after 2 years you'll end up with 12.1 lakh, and here you'll end up with 12 lakh. So this is basically what compound interest is. In compound interest you'll get interest on interest, right? And in simple interest you only get simply the interest on the principal amount, right? So let's talk about the formulas, right? In simple interest the formula is very basic, right? Now the formula goes, we have principal, right? We have the rate of interest, right? We have the number of years, right? You club them together, you multiply it, and then you add principal back. Whereas in compound interest what happens is you have your principal, you multiply it with 1 plus r and raised to power the number of years, right? This is how you get compound interest, and this is how you get simple interest, right? Now let's talk about this formula, right? P multiplied by 1 plus r raised to the power n, right? What would this formula give you, right? Let's say when we talk about this situation, right, your principal is 10 lakh, you multiply it with 1 plus your interest rate is 10%, right? So this will basically become this, and it will become 0.10, right, raised to the power, let's say 2, right? And when this happens this would become 1.1 raised to the power 2 and 1.2. Now what is this 1.2? This is basically the future value, right? This is the future value. We say we write future value as FW, right? And this 10 lakh, this is what your money is worth today. So basically this is the present value, right? So basically this 10 lakh here is basically a lump sum payment, or amount, right? This is a lump sum amount. So when you want to find out the future value of lump sum, what you do is future value is equals to present value multiplied by 1 plus rate of return upon n, right? And if you want to find out the present value, what you will do is basically bring this here, so it will become future value 1 plus r on n. Now this is also called discounting, right? When you bring back the future value to present value, this is called discounting, right? Now let's talk about some other concepts as well. We talked about lump sum, right? Now what if I say that, let's say I'll give you 10 lakh rupees today, or what I can do is I'll give you 1 lakh rupees for, let's say, 11 years, right? I give you this is your first option, this is your second option. Now what would you do? This is you getting 10 lakh rupees in total, and this looks like it is 11 lakh, right? Getting 1 lakh rupees for 11 years, it is somewhat 11 lakhs, right? Is that true? We just talked about the fact that the money, the 100 rupees is not equal to 100 rupees after 1 year. So how can we say that 11 lakh would be equal to 11 lakh, that to receiving of till 11 years would be same or even greater than 10 lakhs? It's not true, right? So what we can do is, basically, this concept is called annuity. When you are receiving, when you are receiving a fixed amount of money for fixed number of years, this is called annuity, right? Now what you'll have to do is, you'll get 1 lakh rupees today, right, at year 0. After 1 year you'll get 1 lakh rupees. Now to make it equal, you'll have to discount it, that is find out its present value, because this is present value. Now if you want to compare, you should know the present value of both the options, right? This is how you'll compare, right? And then again you'll have to discount 1 lakh rupees that you'll receive after 2 years, and you'll have to discount it to this and again this. Now, right, with this formula again, but this is quite lengthy, right? So there's a formula for annuity, right? So it goes like, present value of annuity is equals to, we say PMT, right? PMT is basically the regular recurring payment that will happen, which is 1 lakh here, right? What we'll do is, we'll divide it by the rate of return, and we'll multiply it by 1 minus 1 upon 1 plus r and n. So this is a formula for finding out the present value of annuity. But again, this is such a big formula. You know what we'll do is, we'll just use Excel to do this calculation, right? So in Excel, let's say we have to find the present value, right? So we'll use the formula PV. Now it asks us the rate of return, right? So we calculated the rate, that would be 0.10, right? Then n per, what is n per? N per is basically the number of times this amount would be given, right? So n per would be 11, right? Now PMT, what is PMT? We talked about how much we would be getting, 1 lakh, right? Now if I press enter, we get to know that the money would be worth only 6,49,500, right? So this, what we were thinking earlier would be 11 lakh, is actually, let's say 6,50,000 to be approx, right? Because there's inflation, there's things like that, you know, the price would increase, the money would lose its value and things like that, right? So this is what annuity is, when you receive fixed amount of payment for a fixed number of years. Now we have a formula for finding out the future value of annuity as well, right? Let's say we are depositing 1 lakh rupees in an account for, let's say, 10 years, right? We want to find out, and let's say there's a scheme, and let's say the rate of return would be at the rate 10%, right? So you'll be investing in a scheme, and you have to give 1 lakh rupees every year for 10 years, and you'll get 10% every year, right? Now what will happen in year 0? You'll get 1 lakh rupees, you'll give 1 lakh rupees. At year 1, you'll get the interest, that is 10k, right? Plus you'll invest some 1 lakh rupees. In the second year, what will happen is, again you'll get interest of 1 lakh rupees, that is 10,000. You'll get interest of this 1 lakh of 10,000, and you'll be giving 1 lakh rupees as well. Now let's talk about this formula. So in Excel we have the formula of future value as well, right? Again, the rate of interest, that would be 0.1, right? N per, again 10 years, right? PMT would be again 1 lakh, and let's enter. So if you are investing in a scheme and you are giving 1 lakh rupees for 10 years at the rate of 10%, you'll actually end up with close to 16 lakh rupees and not 10 lakh, because your money is growing, right? So this was annuity, right? Now let's say that we are not sure about how many years the payment would be. right? But we'll give you a constant sum of money. Let's talk about pension. So what happens in pension is, you after certain age, senior citizen tend to get a fixed payment monthly for, and not defined, but till you live, right? So that number is uncertain, but let's take into consideration it is for infinite amount of time, right? A fixed payment for infinite time period, that is called perpetuity, right? This is called perpetuity. Now, how to calculate the value of perpetuity? Of course we can find out the present value of perpetuity, but it is very a bit difficult to find the future value because we are not sure about the number of years, right? So perpetuity has a very simple formula. What you do is, you have your PMT, that is the monthly payment that you'll be getting, and you have to divide it by R. So this is present value of perpetuity, right? Now let's say that every year you are getting 1 lakh rupees, right? And the rate of interest would be again 10%, right? So point 1. So let's again, just to keep our calculation on one side, we'll divide 1 lakh and by point 1, right? And what we'll get is 10 lakh rupees, right? We'll be getting 10 lakh rupees. Now if I come and tell you, you have two options. I'll give you 11 lakh rupees today, or I'll give you, this is the first option of course, or I can give you 1 lakh rupees for, let's say, infinite amount of time. What would you choose, right? So present value of 11 lakh would be 11 lakh, and this is perpetuity, of course, for infinite period, fixed amount of time, right? So we will find out the present value. What is the present value? 10 lakh rupees. So of course you can choose 11 lakh rupees today rather than getting 1 lakh rupees for lifetime, right? So present value of the first option is greater than the present value of getting 1 lakh rupees for infinite amount of time, because there are other factors that affect the value of money. Now there's one last rule that we need to talk about, right? Now this is called the rule of 72. Now this is very simple. This rule applies to a situation where you want to find out, let's say you have invested 10 lakh rupees, right? You want to find out this lump sum payment that you have invested, in how much time would it be doubled, right? How much time it would take to become 20 lakh, right? Now let's say your rate of interest is 10%. So the rule goes is, if the number of years multiplied by the rate of interest is equals to 72, your money would double. So here we have 10 and this is 72, right? And this is n, we don't know the number of years, so we'll divide it, and the answer is 7.2. So this rule says that after 7.2 years, if you are investing at 10% compounding, you will be able to double your investment. So these are the few basic formulas of TVM, and the concept of TVM is used in many areas to, it also includes like valuation, maybe some personal wealth management and things like that. This is a very basic concept, and these are the formulas. You can use Excel and many other things to find out. Now let's talk about another situation, like we here talked about, let's say, this option, right? I'll give you 10 lakh rupees today, or I can give you 1 lakh rupees after for 11 years. Now let's take a situation where I want to take into consideration the time value of money, right? And I want to give someone, let's say, present value of 10 lakh rupees. I want to give someone for 10 years, right? So how much should be the PMT, so that it takes into consideration the time value of the money, right? The rate of discounting, and what would be the fixed payment that I could pay for 10 years and get the same present value of 10 lakh, right? So again, we have formula for that as well in Excel. The formula is PMT, right? Again, the rate 0.1, n per would be 10, present value would be, you want to give 10 lakh rupees, right? Right. So if you want to make sure that the person is getting 1 lakh 10 lakh rupees of present value, right, you have to give that person 1,62,745 rupees or dollars, whatever, every year, so that the time value of money is adjusted and that person actually gets 10 lakh rupees, right? So this is how you can use the principles of management in making smart money decisions, finding out, where the better investment opportunity is. Sometimes this looks like a much better opportunity, but the thing is that the 1 lakh rupees that you're getting today and the 1 lakh rupees that you're getting after 1 year, the value of that money changes, right? So it's not 1 lakh rupees that you have in hand. So this is why confusion comes in mind, and these are the formulas that actually help us make better financial and smart monetary decisions. So that's it. Thank you.